This is volume of prisms and cylinders. In this section, students are going to be able to calculate the volume of prisms and cylinders with at least 70% accuracy. We're going to measure this through the online homework I'm going to assign to you guys here, okay? Volume of a solid, what is it? It's the space inside. If you look at the rectangular prism, the cylinder here, the triangular prism here, it's the space inside. How many cubic units are contained in the interior of these solids? So today, I'm going to give you two formulas for prisms and cylinders and how to find the volume of them. Let's start with prisms. What is a prism? If you look to the right here, I got two basic examples of prisms. A prism is a polyhedron with two congruent faces. If you notice on this first one, if you want to highlight the top and the bottom here, these are two congruent rectangles. You could consider them the bases in this prism. On the bottom prism here, if you notice the triangle closest to us here and the triangle towards the back here, these are the only two congruent faces in that prism. So in this case, those will be the bases of that prism. Now, the height of a prism is going to be the perpendicular distance between those two bases. So if I chose the top and bottom rectangular faces here on the prism, the height is going to be the perpendicular distance between them, in this case, 12 feet. And down here on our triangular prism, if the front and the back are our bases, the perpendicular distance between them, in this case 3, will be the height. It's very important that you guys are able to identify the bases, that they are the two congruent faces in a prism, and recognizing that the height is the perpendicular distance between them. These are important parts in finding volume of these solids, okay? And you've heard me mention that they're called rectangular prisms and triangular prisms. They're named that way because of their bases, okay? And here is the volume formula for a prism. Volume formula for a prism is V is equal to capital B times lowercase h. But we don't say capital B times lowercase h. The capital B stands for the area of the base. Now this might change depending on what kind of base you have. Just on the previous slide, we had a rectangular base for the top solid and a triangular base for the bottom solid. This B part might change. More on that later. H stands for the height of the prism, the perpendicular distance between them. Now going back to our two examples here, we already labeled our height in both of these. But now the base in each of these is going to be different. So depending on what kind of base you have, this part of the formula might change. Here I've given you some common bases that might come up in prisms and their area formulas. If you notice, here we have the rectangular base that we're going to end up using for one, and here we have the triangular base. So you're going to replace the capital B in the volume formula with whatever kind of base formula you happen to have. Okay? More on that later. The second type of solid we're going to find the volume of is a cylinder. A cylinder is pretty much a circular prism. Because what shape is the base here? What shape is the base of a cylinder? It's two circles, right? The congruent faces here happen to be circles. The height is going to be the perpendicular distance between them as well. Now if you notice, the B area formula is already there. It's the area formula for a circle, pi r squared. And the C stands for circumference of a circle is given there as well, 2 pi r. And that's going to come into play when we talk about the volume formula of a cylinder. Okay? This is pretty much the volume formula for a prism, which is base area times height. But what shape is our base in a cylinder? It's a circle, right? So what is the area formula for a circle? Pi r squared. That's essentially the B part of our prism volume formula. And then you just multiply it by the height, just the same. So the volume formula for a cylinder is pi r squared times the height of that cylinder.